Welcome, friends, to another episode of Lakeside Drive. And this week we're previewing actually, the Austin GP. And I'm joined by the great man himself, the beanied one, the one with the the one and only Thomas J. Camp. How are you, mate?
Tommy, how are you, sir? You well?
I'm very good. And the also beanied, just as well, actually. His beanie's almost better than yours, I'd argue. His is in better nick.
Zeke's got like the snitch hat beanie. Like,
The snitch hat
like
beanie.
rolled up, doesn't really sit on his whole head, but it's excellent.
Yeah, it is doing plenty to cover that head, though. It is doing a great job. Welcome, Ezekiel.
Thank you. Hi, welcome. Thank you very much. I am wearing a beanie.
Yeah, I'm the only one not wearing a beanie here today, and I feel left out.
It's all right.
Should have read the memo.
See the beads of sweat coming down your forehead from that.
Oh, from that
Jeez,
leisurely stroll
Jeez,
from
the
the train
sun's
station.
out today, isn't it?
It is.
Bloody hell.
It is springing a lot today. It is doing plenty.
Yeah.
Going back to Texas, Campy. Let's start.
Texas.
Let's not bury the lead. We are going back to Texas.
How good is Texas? I think it's the best country in the world.
He did not misspeak. That's what he means.
Yeah, I do mean that. The greatest place in the world.
Texas is a lot of fun. You and I have both been there.
Travelled it extensively. I've been to most nooks and crannies of not as much time in Houston as I'd liked. Sorry, in Austin as I would have liked, but
I think Austin's my highlight. I think that is the spot you've got to go.
yeah, it's
Dallas is a lot of fun, I would say. San Antonio,
Deep Ellum,
drive through. But
San Antonio. Yeah, I drove through that.
yeah, it is. You turn up, watch the Alamo, then you bail.
I
But
stopped in
Austin
Waco.
is a lot of fun. Waco's different. We had some friends who had family living there. We went through Waco, and it is basically the home of that Fixer Upper show, and that's all it is.
Yeah, I went there.
Not a whole lot.
I went there for my mum. Got her some stuff.
Yeah, so did
Mum was
I.
like, if you go through Waco, make sure you go there and get me something from that shop. Chip and Joanna Gaines or whatever they're called.
Welcome to our Fixer Upper podcast.
The most humble television show on TV. I believe.
He is a bit of a legend. He seems fun.
Cool
But
family.
They took over this giant silo thing and they've turned it into like a theme park for mums, basically. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
It's out of control.
What's it called? I can't
It's just
remember.
called the Silos, I think.
No, it's got a name. Can't remember what it's
Anyway,
called.
but
Fun
Magnolia.
fact. Yeah,
Magnolia is their company.
Tommy
Yeah.
T.
I know what I'm Listen, I've watched many an episode with mum.
Yeah, I know it's good.
Anyway,
It's good bonding.
apart from
time,
that,
isn't
Austin's also known for F1.
It is.
It is the home of COTA, which is one of our favourite tracks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is also basically just a cheat sheet of many of the other great corners from around the world. And like Americans tend to do, we just borrow ideas and we've made our own track, and it's called the Circuit of Americas. And we're heading there.
Well,
this week.
seemingly it's not such a great track as it was a few years ago because of the people who built it couldn't get it right.
Yes.
A bit like Victorian roads, believe it or not. It's a few potholes. So I remember the last couple of years of this Grand Prix, and specifically in practices, all we hear about is how bumpy this track's gotten, how much the earth underneath the track has shifted and created things. So I believe the FIA and the people at COTA have they've shaved some stuff off the top of
I think
to
it was
try and smooth it out.
Last year was complaining, so they've shaved some high points, it seems. But it's one of those ones I'm torn because we go to street circuits and they're truly streets and they're bumpy, and that is just something you have to deal with. That is part of the hurdle of that track.
Yeah.
I would say this is part of COTA's struggle, is it is constantly moving. Whatever it is going on under the track is very unstable, it seems, and it is constantly shifting and lifting and moving, and it just seems to be one of the battles that is part of this track, and it almost adds character, I would argue, more than...
Well, that's what we want, right? I
Yeah.
believe under construction, at a really vital stage of construction, they had some massive amounts of water and flood go through the track, which is, 7 or 8 years down the track, down through whatever. Bloody hell. Get it together, Campy. 7 years down the track, we are noticing significant problems emerging because of what happened in that downpour. So, anyway, that's all right.
I don't think it's too bad. I think it's going to be a struggle, though, with the ground effect cars that we've got at the moment. That is one thing that they do like a very smooth surface, but we'll probably see some porpoising back, I would imagine. But that is, again, one of the things that the technical directors will have to deal with and figure out how to combat.
Are we going to get rain this weekend?
I haven't looked.
I hope not, because the last 2 weekends have been ruined by rain.
It's true. We do like rain sometimes, but when it seems like the way that we're running now, we don't even need a full wet tyre because no one wants to use it, do they? And the FIA won't let us race, or the race director won't let us race if it's too wet. Therefore, that tyre is almost redundant. They're only willing to let us race when it's back to kind of intermediate conditions, and then we've got this in-between intermediate and slick race going on. And that's kind of interesting, let's be honest. But it is more tactics than racing, would you agree?
I mean, ideally when you want rain like at Spa, where it's raining up the top and it's bone dry down the bottom and you cannot decide which one to use, which one's better.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think
it slowly gets wet and then dries within 15 minutes and we've had 4 pit stops. And that's what you want.
I think you made the point as well. It wasn't almost the grip, it was the visibility was the biggest issue. You couldn't see a thing. The cars could run around fine. You just couldn't see a thing. That was what was dangerous.
Visibility in the rain in F1, you've never been able to see. So I don't know what they're whinging about going, we can't see, because 20 years ago they couldn't see and they just, 4 people died a year and it was like that was just part of the sport.
So you're campaigning for more deaths?
No, look, I'm not. We have moved on as society and we're not as reckless as what we used to be.
Yep.
Safety is paramount, blah, I get it. But these guys would be laughing in their grave at these softies driving these days. I can't see. Jeez, toughen up, boys.
I hate to dance on the graves, but is that because they're dead for driving in the wet? And that I think we need to be safe, but there is a line, and it seems almost.
You know what I'm trying to say.
I do, and I tend to agree that we could have been running both of these wet weekends much sooner than we were. That was what was frustrating. The fact that we never even used a wet tyre was disappointing. That's what it's there for. Let's get out there. Let's move some water, which is what that wet tyre does really well.
Yep.
Create a dry line, move to intermediates, then move to slick. So that's what we wanted to see, especially when the rain had stopped.
Yeah.
It was just standing water and wet parts of the track. There wasn't even really anything that bad. But anyway, let's move back to COTA.
How much wings are we going to be eating this weekend between the how many wings themed like tweets are the team's going to come out with?
You're talking about like Red Bull wings, or are you talking about like chicken wings?
Talking about chicken wings.
I did see. Side note, I did see that Japan has just started doing all-you-can-eat KFC at some of their restaurants. How soon are we going to Japan to go get some KFC?
I cannot eat KFC.
What's wrong with you?
Look, there's a process with KFC. It's like you eat it, and then to go back there and eat it again, you need to have lost all recollection of what happened last time. Because after 5 minutes, it's like, well, geez, I'm feeling crook in the guts.
KFC is the best.
Really?
Oh,
okay.
Ezekiel's not in.
Yeah, I'm a pro KFC guy.
Yeah, he's a dirty bird fella.
Yeah.
Campy, what is your favourite of the bigger chains?
Probably Hungies.
I was going to say you look like a Hungry Jack's guy.
That's rough.
Double Whopper kind of guy.
That's a struggle. I thought you were cool. Anyway, have you dabbled in a Rebel Whopper, my man?
No.
One of the vegan patties?
No, please.
Doesn't
Please.
float your boat?
I'm not ever going back to Hungry Jack's after they made a vegan patty. Not happening. What is the point in going to a fast food restaurant and getting vegan stuff?
It's delicious. It's
ridiculous.
It actually tastes really good.
They're taxing me methane, so my steak's going to go up anyway. No, so I'm going out to buy vegan food. Jeez. Oh.
So we can just throw that Hungry Jack's sponsorship in the bin if we ever had one.
Off topic, but
back to COTA. What I wanted to talk about was traditionally it's a Mercedes-dominated track.
Yes.
This has been since 2012. We started racing back at Austin, and Mercedes has won all but 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah, Vettel got one, didn't he?
Vettel got one in the Renault Red Bull, and we've seen Ferrari win one with Kimi. The most recent race we had was a Red Bull again.
Oh, it was Hamilton and Rosberg. I think Rosberg got it. It was Hamilton basically for like 6 years in a row, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think they'll dominate as much as they have previously, although Mercedes had this little purple patch before the mid-season break, and then for the couple of races after it, really ended at Zandvoort, didn't it? We haven't seen them.
It's such a specialist track, though, isn't it?
Well, but we have Hamilton should have won that Grand Prix if it wasn't for the incidents that happened that brought out the safety car. So I have been surprised how much Mercedes have lacked some pace since that Zandvoort Grand Prix. I thought they would have done better. I thought they were on track to get a couple of wins, and I thought they were on track to really solidify the second place in the Constructors. But it hasn't happened. But we're going into a group of races now where I think they might come back. So I don't think they'll be as dominant. They won't beat Max Verstappen. There's no chance.
Not after what we saw last week. With limited laps, and he pulled out, what was it, 20-something second gap in no time at all.
The dude is just too good. But yeah, I think they'll still be. I don't know what the gap in the constructors is, but they'll be still hoping for that second place. Although they had a couple of results which weren't too good, which meant Ferrari jumped up.
So is this track more characteristically like, I say, Monza, where you want to go low downforce, kind of like high speed, or are we talking a bit more bolt on?
No, it's probably more like Japan than any other race. I would suggest.
So last week's setup, basically, other than the wet.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Sector 1 is based on, Sector 1 at Suzuka. So,
yep. Well, with a bit of Silverstone thrown in with that.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of high-speed, high-flowing sections where you're not necessarily... Well, they are full throttle these days because the downforce is unbelievable. But, when we first saw this track, there was slight lifting, coasting, and, just had to get that stuff
Feather
right.
It through, hey?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great terminology.
Feather. I know. I sometimes know what I'm talking about.
Feather the throttle, keep that momentum.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, yep.
Is that what it is?
It's from my karting days when I used to beat you and James.
Just get the inertia rolling from one side to the other. Yeah, I like it. Car setup 101. Yeah.
But, so we're talking about a bit of an all-round setup, which seems to be Red Bull's strength this year, I would argue.
Oh, Red Bull have the perfect balance between they can strap on downforce if they want it, but they can also pull it off and the car is still very stable under high-speed conditions. Very, very.
Well, this is
the back end of that thing just is on rails. It does what it's told. It's the front end that dances around a bit more, and that's what Max likes.
He likes it, yeah.
But that rear end does everything that Max Verstappen wants it to. Yep. There's never any oversteer on that car.
Well, categorically, this is the best car Adrian Newey has ever made. It is most race wins for any of his designs.
How many race wins they had this year?
I think it's 13, if I'm not mistaken.
Crazy.
I think it's now his most winningest car ever. For a guy who's already got a career of however many championships and how many insanely beautiful cars that have been unbelievable, this is the one. This is his crowning achievement, which is insane to think that he's still at the peak of his powers however many years into a career.
Well, he actually did his thesis when he did his doctorate on ground effect cars.
He's kind of the guy you want.
Mate,
he wrote the book, literally.
You've got the goat of car designs, and then we changed philosophies on the air going over the car and, the air going under the car, and this guy's done his thesis on it. It's like, what on earth are we doing here? So, no wonder they've pulled... And we should have seen it coming, shouldn't we?
Yeah, to be honest. We definitely should have seen it coming. I saw an article today that the chairman of COTA is campaigning / dreaming that one day we'll see F1, IndyCar, and MotoGP all here in a weekend. Is that something you can imagine? I think your head might explode. So, to put it into perspective, all three of these categories all race at this track at some point during the year. And what they're saying is, imagine if we just did a mega weekend.
Triple header.
Oh.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be excellent. I don't think IndyCar would want to go down that path just because you would see the difference between the speed in the two cars, the two categories. The IndyCar around there, I think, is just slower than an F2 car. It's about a 15 to 16 second difference, I believe. So I'm not sure IndyCar will want to do it. But I think the way motorsport is progressing, it's not as stupid as it sounds. I think the way that... Yeah, it's not as stupid as it sounds.
I think maybe if you put F1 in the middle weekend and maybe you started with Indy and finished with MotoGP or vice versa and did it 3 consecutive weekends, I think that would be interesting because someone like you and I would go
consecutive,
there. Yeah. Well, they were campaigning for one weekend, but I'm saying what if you just stacked them and did them in a row and make it a 3-week extravaganza of Austin Speed Week or Speed Month? Something like that, where you have this whole festival of speed happening. You've got all these different things. And then people who are there because they're Indy fans or they're MotoGP fans are now watching F1. Because we understand America's the biggest next market. So they've probably got a lot more Indy fans that don't know enough about F1 and vice versa, European fans who want to know more about IndyCar.
Well, yeah, I wonder about the economics of it. I think it'd be excellent. I mean...
How soon would you be buying a ticket to go to that?
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
The problem is I wouldn't be able to afford it.
No, not with the current
Probably
prices.
have to pay $15,000 for the 3 park, the 3 category super pass or whatever it is. And
if we throw it in like the same week that South by Southwest is there, then Zeke will want to go too.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Get the whole gang along.
South by Southwest, what a wicked festival that is. It sort of goes for a couple of weeks, doesn't it? 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's like 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's so many things that are part of that festival that aren't directly correlated to the festival that it just blows out to a whole month worth of things happening.
Yeah.
And it's just remotely creative is now the criteria. It doesn't even have to be music or arts. It's just anything that is creative in any
they've
way.
got a whole tech expo there now as well that goes with it. I know some friends went over there a couple of years ago with some real estate technology as well, and he just came back and he said, "Oh, mate, how good is this place?" But
Pretty incredible.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
So we're just going to say, can we throw in a couple of races in and around South by?
Yeah.
Why not?
Chuck
Chuck a couple of live acts on during the races and stuff, like before and after.
I like it.
And really like capitalise. I don't know how close COTA actually is to like the city of Austin.
It's not that far out.
It's not far?
No,
Okay.
it's not that far out.
So we can make it happen.
I went to book a ticket when I was over there. I went to book a ticket for the McLaren experience there.
Right.
It's basically you get to go and drive McLarens. You get about 10 laps for about $1,500. But when I realised I booked it for the month after I'd left, and thought it was the current month.
Did the old date and month get mixed up when you're in America?
That's what I'll say. Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened.
I was going to say, if you book for the 10th of the 10th, it's the same, mate. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was in a bit of a stupor for that period of
That whole trip, or?
yeah, it was a bit of a haze. No, it was good. It was good.
So you missed out on driving your McLarens. That's unfortunate.
Anyway,
That's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
I suppose we should talk about what we're looking forward to.
I've got W series here on the notes, but I don't watch it, so I don't have an opinion. So I'll just leave that to James and Freya, and we'll move on. I think. What do you reckon?
Thank you for bringing that up to shit on it. Thank you, Campy. That's excellent. Expect nothing less. Let's jump back to now that Max has clinched. What are we looking for the rest of the season?
I'm looking forward to the season being over as quickly as possible. Not that I don't love this sport, but jeez,
it is hard to watch without stakes. It's like watching that fifth test when the test is already decided, or it's one of those things. It's a dead rubber essentially. There's no stakes here,
which is a shame because we've got some great tracks coming up. Mexico is an awesome spectacular.
Yep,
that falls
Brazil's
on.
Great.
Yeah, Brazil's great. I mean, the Mexico that falls on their it's the Day of the Dead.
Yes,
like that. Which like that is an epic weekend for that. You know, it's a spectacle.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we've got 6 a.m. races coming up too, so there's not a lot to get excited about, if I'm honest. But
I prefer the 6 a.m. to the bloody middle of the night, let's be honest.
This is the problem with Formula One, though, right? Where we're at the moment. Like, we've got 5 races left.
I think
four races left. For the last 2 races, the championship's been over anyway.
Yeah.
And we're going into a stretch of races other than the last one, which are desirable. I think we need to change the calendar up to get these races and the really good ones at the front end of the season when it actually matters.
Yeah.
It's a shame to me because the money and the way this sport is going is... I can clearly see what's happening from a distance, and it is Liberty Media is getting this product en masse, 24, 25, 26 races, some big places, so they can sell it to the Saudi Arabian money. Like, it's like the Middle Eastern money. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Hands down, it'll happen in the next 3 to 5 years. So that's why we're getting so much more product. So they want to jack up its value for whatever reason.
If you're adding more races, that's more revenue streams for more money for an inflated product. Unfortunately, what that does is mean that every race is worth a little bit less. So if you have scarcity, every race is worth a little bit more. So what we've done now is we've basically said enough points are on the table early enough in the season, you can win. And these last 4 races are now redundant. Unfortunately, they're say 2 of the 4 are really, really fun. We like COTA as well. Not a lot of people might share that, but
COTA's rad.
But we've got now these 4 races that are just worthless. If they were earlier in the season, at least, like you're saying, they're worth something and they're still exciting. Yeah. It's disappointing to go to Brazil or go to Mexico and everything already be decided. And it kind of like, oh, well, this is just a nice little, a friendly soccer match, essentially, that's not really worth any points.
Well, knowing what sort of race Miami was this year, and what sort of track it was, would you prefer to have COTA then and then Miami now?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. All right, we can organise that.
Yeah, can we have Vegas be the last race when no one cares about and then all the hanger-oners who don't care about F1 can go have a party in Vegas and we don't care because the champions has already decided. It should be the finale, if anything.
Just by the way, I still cannot get accommodation on the strip for that race weekend.
I was talking to Heath about this, and when we went to Vegas, we stayed at Circus. It was terrible in the best kind of way. It's exactly how you imagine, like a 90s casino themed around clowns and circuses. It is filthy. It is just off the strip, but it was very, very cheap.
I felt that
I recommend it a lot.
I felt that way about flamingos.
Vegas is different, hey? It is different.
I remember walking into one of the canals that was supposed to look like Venice or something. I'm like, oh yeah, we got Venice here. I'm like, it looks like shit. I was like, this is the worst replica I've ever seen in my life. Typical. No, we won't. I love America.
It is such a different part of the world, Vegas. But I think it's exciting because they do love sport in Vegas.
They get around it, right?
For sure. So they've now got an NFL team.
Yep.
It is more interesting. They're pushing for a basketball team to go there in the future. I know that will happen eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
But right now, especially the way F1 is, where there is a lot of other just kind of money, name, kind of look good, not really contribute, that's kind of hard to deal with because we want to watch the sport. We don't want to watch the red carpet of F1. We want to watch the F1.
Yeah. I mean, there is that other side of the sport that
yes.
you can engage in if you would like, but no.
The only time I'll accept it is Monaco, which I think is part of the Monaco experience when there's super yachts and there's just, it is outlandish. It is the richest 1% because you go there for the tax haven and you live on your boat and you just have the best time. And we get a glimpse of that and it's fun as like a caricature of real life. But when we see it at Vegas, we see it at Miami, it's kind of like, okay, we get enough. This is a very rich sport. Why am I getting charged $2,000 to go sit in the back of a general admission spot?
You're not going to get that at Silverstone, are you? It's just it's an airport.
Well, you can still camp at Silverstone.
That's what we want.
That's what you want. You want that festival vibe.
Yeah, it's like, grassroots.
That's it. And that's kind of what's missing from all these new car park tracks, unfortunately.
Yep.
But let's stop being grumpy old people. Let's talk about...
You're yelling at the sky again, Tommy?
Always. I'm 31 now. I'm past. I'm over the peak. I'm grumpy. Let's talk about the fight for second. We've got Sergio and Leclerc.
Yeah.
How do you see this playing out?
Couldn't care less.
Unfortunately, we're on a podcast and you kind of have to have an opinion.
I'm just trying to be honest. I know the fans are sitting there feeling exactly the way that we feel. This season is long. It is drawn out. It is finished. It's been finished for a long time. And it's boring.
He's not wrong, is he? He's not wrong at all.
Oh, I do love this sport. I'm passionate. I love it. I will always watch it. But I can tell you what, this 24 race season next year it's going to be worse.
Well, it feels like a lot, doesn't it?
We've missed it, but we've discussed that. Anyway, second place. I would like to see Checo get to second.
Yep.
Just because I'd rather Leclerc not get second.
Well, it seems like constructors is pretty much over and done with there. That is, Red Bull's pretty much walked away. As long as they don't throw it away with not getting any points for the last four, pretty much sewn up.
Yeah.
So now it's just down, does Sergio have enough to beat Leclerc, who is determined to get at least second if he can't have first?
I think Sergio's got the car to get second. Whether he does or not, so, I'd like to see him get second. I'd just love to rub it in more to Ferrari and Leclerc. Because I'd prefer Sainz to be second.
Yeah, and so Sainz is in the battle for fourth, which is with the other two Mercedes drivers.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting battle because I would say, based on form, Hamilton has been in a way better situation the second half of the season. Hasn't had quite the luck, but George has started to slip, I would say, if anything.
Yeah.
He hasn't had the results. He's maybe qualified okay, but he hasn't had the results that he was having earlier in the season when he was getting 5th and 6th every race.
I've been disappointed with George this year. I thought his talent and calibre for all in sundry that told me how good he was. And the races we saw last year when he stepped in to replace Hamilton in the top team, probably should have had his first win. I would have thought he did better this year. Now, he hasn't had the machinery that they've previously had, so that's tough. But he's a guy that's been very consistent all year, but lacks that extra 3 to 4 tenths that guys like Hamilton and Verstappen can just pull out of their backside when they really need it.
Yep.
I mean, he's beating Hamilton in the points, but that's only because things have happened to Hamilton and bad luck and whatnot. But Hamilton's found himself in some strange situations this year.
He has.
That are not indicative of his pace where he's at it. But again, give Hamilton the car on that race weekend in that little purple patch, and he made George look second rate. So I've been disappointed with George. I don't think he's all he's cracked up to be.
I don't know how you can sum it up better than he doesn't seem to have that same ability of a Verstappen or a Hamilton to get through traffic, to get past that person who's just stuck in their way, and which we see consistently. Verstappen just dispatch this person who's frustrating them so easily, and Lewis does the same thing. George will get stuck and frustrated and almost doesn't have that ability to think off script or take a different line. Or we saw some incredible overtakes in the wet, and George just doesn't seem to have that creativity to kind of think differently or change the rules and just find a way to get past, which is what the greats of the sport do.
Yeah.
They find a way, and he just seems to think very, I don't know, robotically, and get stuck and just, well, this is where I am. I have the pace. I'll try it on a straight. And that's the only move he's got, really.
He reminds me a bit of a Bottas like that, although not as bad as Bottas.
It's very clinical. It's hard to describe other than that, but the best drivers...
One way to get around this, and that's the only way that I can be fast. Yeah. If I need to brake early, take a late apex so I can get on the brakes, so I can get on the accelerator early to get off. It just feels like he lacks a bit
Verstappen's start last week around the outside, how he found grip there is insane. That is a world championship move. That is what we're talking about, and you don't see that from a lot of the grid, and it's pretty evident that George just doesn't seem to have that enough of the time. So I think I would love to see Sainz get that spot. To him overtake George and Hamilton, and George to fight it out for fifth. That would be interesting.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, I'd go Checo second. Leclerc's probably solidified third.
I think so, yeah.
Then there's the fourth place.
The fourth, so it'd be nice to see Sainz.
Hamilton, Russell, Sainz.
Yep. Right now it's George's, but
I think Hamilton will get it.
You reckon?
Hamilton, mate,
he's pretty strong.
No, Hamilton's Hamilton's fifth or sixth at the moment. So sixth, yeah. He's that fair way behind because of those. Sorry, he's that bit further behind because of those poor results. So
these 4 tracks, would you pencil in a win for Hamilton?
Look what Hamilton did on the last 5 Grand Prix last year.
Yeah,
look what he did. He had to win every single one of them, and look what he did. He had it won until a stupid call, and he's going to win his 8th World Championship and. Incredible. So Lewis can do anything on these tracks.
Yeah, and I think these are some of the tracks that you can get stuff done. I would say COTA's a really good one. Brazil's really good. Mexico's harder, but and Yas Marina, who knows that is just a car park.
What does Max got to do? Do you reckon he'll take the foot off the accelerator? Or?
Well, we've seen it in Hamilton in the past, hasn't it? He's kind of just cruised through the last couple once he's won the season and taken it out.
Well, I mean, that was a chink in Hamilton's armour. I mean, he let Nico win. He sewed up the championship in 15. Then Nico won the last 3 races.
Came in next season hot.
And won 4 on the trot.
Yep.
Had the lead in the 5th Grand Prix and had that famous crash up the back straight, wherever that was. I mean, so it's not good to give these guys confidence, but I don't think Max really cares. Either way, I think that guy can just... He just gets in the car and does what he does.
It seems like he's got the ability to zoom out and see the bigger picture rather than just this season or just this race. He's always looking like wider, which is pretty impressive for a 24-year-old or 25-year-old. He's so young and he's acting like a world champion, and this is his only second one.
His second one. He'll have 5 in no time.
Yeah. It's hard to see where...
It's hard to watch again.
It's hard to see where the competitors are coming from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're getting towards the end of the season. I thought we'd jump back and maybe talk about some of the moments.
Yeah.
If you could use the hindsight that you've got, the doctorate in hindsight that you PhD, Dr. Campy, if you could have known what was going to happen before, where would you have gone to? Where would you have thrown some money down and flown out? Or
well, good question. Oh, where would I have gone to? Jeez, you're putting me on the spot here. I'm trying to think what good races we've had.
Well, I messaged you like 3 minutes before we started recording, so you've had ample time to think about this, let's be honest.
Zandvoort.
Bit of a spectacle.
What a cool place.
Yeah, it seems like on the seaside.
I'm not going to admit that I like the Dutchies, but
hey, fun.
I love the fact that they just get the flares out. They are quality to look at. And it turned out to be a really good race too.
It did.
I think it's one of those. I don't think it's a great racing spectacular, but I think it's just the undulation in the track and the way that it goes up and down, and it's a bit of a roller coaster type ride. I think Dutchies. I would have gone there. Silverstone.
I was going to say Silverstone for me. That seemed like a good weekend. Yeah, everything was happening. Everything was like prime condition. Yeah, we had some good racing. Yeah.
And you spoke about you get to stay in tents and stuff, and camping grounds, and there's that feel about it. So I think I'd go there. What was earlier on? I mean, we went to Melbourne this year, and look, the Melbourne Grand Prix was horrible to attend this year.
Yep.
Oh, it didn't help the fact that it was about 3,000 degrees.
It was pretty hot, eh?
No, but the way the track was set up this year, and the way that they've incorporated more of the media /
experience
stuff on places in the track that used to be able to access on general admission, just gave me the shits. I was like, why do I try and even support this?
Yeah, so a sponsor would have bought a bit of track that they could have some real estate to look at. So, but previously, you could stand there and have a watch.
Yeah, but it was good in the sense that how many people actually went to watch it and be part of it. Too.
Why didn't you just sneak into the Porsche tent again?
Oh, mate, because it's not 2018 anymore. You can't get away with those things, can you? People know who I am now, and I walk in. That was a joke,
that was not a joke. He meant every word of that. Mate, every time someone would recognise him, be like, hello. Put on his podcast voice.
Oh, just to be clear, nobody recognised any of us.
That's excellent. That's so good. Now, we did get to have some drinks with some people afterwards. That was excellent.
That was good. We had a really cool, what was it called? The Coppersmith, the rooftop bar up there. That was great. So we'll have to replicate that again. But it was a good weekend. Yeah. What about you? What's been the memories for you?
Just trying to think of the duds. I'm glad we didn't go to Russia. That was awesome.
Standard.
That was standard. But I'm trying to think of like some of the ones that got washed out and we didn't get a race. Like, to be honest, like last week, glad we didn't go. Like, usually I'd be like, I want to go to Japan, but is that the Japan you want to go to? That's not the year you'd want to go see Japan, I don't think.
Yeah. Why do we race in Japan at that time of year? It's the worst time to race in Japan.
Yeah. And every year there is like, I think we had a previous one. There was like a typhoon warning or something like years gone past.
I remember when the guys down the pit were putting little paper boats in the pit and seeing which one would like run down the pit. It was like they had to, I think they ran it on a Monday.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'll tell you who was there for that. Laminato was at that Grand Prix.
Oh, right. Yeah. And did he say it was diabolical? It was just wet.
Well, when we interviewed him for that podcast, I'm just going off memory. He was there for that day. So
that's wild, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, I think Monza would be a spectacle.
Yeah. I'm thinking, would you have wanted to go to this year's Spa?
I'm trying to think what happened at Spa this year.
Yeah, memories aren't that great, are they?
I just want to go to Spa because that just
Spa in general.
Sit at Eau Rouge for 3 weeks and never get sick.
Just never move from Eau Rouge.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
That's the only spot you want to sit.
Yeah.
No, it seems
Red
like
Bull Ring's always a cracking like as an event and spectacle.
Yes.
I think they do that well. So that'd be cool to get up on the top side of that racetrack because you get to see a hell of a lot of it.
Yeah, you can from that vantage point.
Prime real estate up there too, but I wouldn't mind buying.
Yeah. You're going to go purchase?
Oh, look, I'm going to win Lotto first.
I could see you maybe piloting one of the Red Bull helicopters.
Oh, thanks, mate.
It could be a second stage of your career. Maybe just shift into that. Get some helicopter angles.
No, I'll get my pilot's license before I got the heli.
You're going to get your pilot's license?
I've actually done it.
Wow, okay. Let's dive into this.
Sorry. I've done a whole lot of tutorial flights. So
Right. So how far off are you of being able to fly?
Well, it just costs money. This was 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah.
So just a little single double seater,
single, just the basic,
Wow.
most basic little single engine prop on the front. It's good fun. It's a lot of fun. I actually got what got me into it. A guy bought it for me a whole lot of things for my 21st birthday. Good friend. So
wow, that is a long time ago.
not that long. No, it was really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Wow.
So it's good.
I just don't believe you.
Haven't done a solo flight.
I just feel like you're about to say it, and it was all like on PC.
Yeah.
It was PC gaming.
This is like Catch Me If You Can. He's
Yeah.
just lying. He's trying to get it
Staring at
checked.
you the whole
What's-
time, trying to get a read.
What's the sim?
As in just like a sim.
flight simulator.
Yeah, flight simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on flight sim.
Fun fact,
Okay.
James used to
I
run.
didn't.
some
No, I
of
never did a
those.
solo flight. I was too fucking scared, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
That's,
understandable.
Yeah.
it's actually quite cool when you're up there because it's like the guy gives you controls and it's like he goes, "Where do you want to go?" I'm like, "Over there." He goes, "Well, just turn, just do it." It's pretty cool, but the lingo was the hardest thing. Is like talking back and that was like I can't talk for.
I did not.
I can't talk. at
Talk
the best
regular
of times,
conversation, yeah.
let alone
Neither, which is why I can say that.
But
Yeah,
no,
which
it's
is
a
why we
lot.
all have a podcast.
It is something I'd really like to do, but time in life just gets.
There you go. It's a Red Bull stunt driver, is what you're saying.
Well,
One of the stunt
that was-
flights.
That was your intro, but
No, I can see you doing that. That'd be
Yeah.
very, very, very good.
yeah,
Yeah.
that could be cool.
I would love to see that.
Start a podcast on that.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah,
There's not really much else to talk about other than predictions. Anything you think that's going to stand out this weekend? Coming? It's a week away.
We'll have a good time.
Yeah.
We'll have a good time.
I think Max is going to walk away like you've mentioned. I think that's going to be...
I'm at the point where I'm just like, I just expect Max to dominate.
It's kind of when
Grand
Lewis
Prix.
was at his most dominant, right? Where it's just like,
yeah,
tell me when he loses. Tell me when he doesn't win.
yeah. I mean, the Rosberg era, the 3 years he raced with Rosberg at Mercedes in that era, they raced 4 years there.
Yeah.
But that 3 years where they had the turbo hybrid, that was like, all right, Lewis or.
But that's exciting because at least there's an or. That's the thing.
Reminds me a bit more of the Lewis / Valtteri
Yep.
part of the career where it's,
Yeah, definitely.
it's good. Did you watch the MotoGP on the weekend?
I
We
did
haven't
not watch
talked about
a
that.
second of MotoGP. You know,
Yeah.
unless it has 4 wheels, I don't care.
I was supposed to go Friday, but I didn't make it.
Oh, what happened? Just couldn't get there.
I run a business and some work commitments came up. Unfortunately, I
That's
was
a shame.
pissed off. But
Did you watch it?
I did. Watched all the practice sessions, quali. Thought Miller was on early on the weekend. Just had that feeling. He actually got a pretty good start. You know, I mean, from 8th, I'm not fussed about him being him coming back from that far, but he got a good start. But he lost. I think he made a mistake at turn 2 and lost 3 or 4 of his positions. So he got back to 10th, but then he went on this tear where he got up to 3rd in like 5 laps. Thought, geez, we're on here, but he just burnt out his rear tyre a bit, I think. And this is not a track that's massive on brakes. This is very much a feel. You know, it's a real motorcycle rider's track. It's driven through the rear end. It's all, you know, in your right hand on the throttle. That's how you get around it. And unfortunately for him, he got taken out, which was a shame because I think at that stage he was just starting to fall back a bit. But the way the race played out and progressed, if he had been there at the end, I think he would have been all right. But geez, Alex Marquez, what an absolute knocker. That guy's not getting back into the country next year. I think we should go all Novak on him and deny his visa. Just reckless and absolute stupidity. So,
Go on, Novak. It's a great call.
yeah, anyway. So it was good. It was good. There was heaps of people down there.
Yeah.
Good weather.
So how's it sitting for the season standings? That's nearly done like Formula One is?
Well, Bagnaia will win it now. I think he's finally hit the lead, which is unthinkable. Quartararo had a 60-odd point lead earlier in the year. Oh, it was more than that. It was huge, but Bagnaia's just gone on this tear, and Quartararo and that Yamaha squad have just dropped off completely.
Yep.
To the point where he's been nowhere. So, yeah, Bagnaia's finally taking the lead. I think there's a couple of races left. So
Not many.
Jack Miller was actually in contention up until yesterday. You know, he's 40 points behind. And
There's just not enough races to get him back.
nah, well, Jack's going to KTM next year too. So,
Okay.
and look, he's a cracking rider, and I think he's in the best form of his life at the moment. He's just in a really good place, extracting out of the bike. Unfortunately for him, it's probably taken him 12 months too long to crack the secret of that bike.
Yep.
And he's just made some mistakes. Things have happened in the races for him this year, which, in hindsight, if he had played the long game, he'd be right in this championship right until the end. But it's been one of those odd years where...
Is KTM a good choice for him?
Yes, will be. KTM, in my opinion, is the most dominant manufacturer when it comes to motorbikes. Off-road, they've dominated everything. They own a Husqvarna and Gas now, and they are in that off-road world. There was a period where they were the laughing stock when it initially.
Not anymore, hey.
And they are that good. Apparently, from what they say, their goal is MotoGP. They dominate Moto3, Moto2, MotoG is the final peak for them to dominate. And once they get it right, they will destroy. And they will have 10 years on top. They are just that good of an organisation. So it's a good move for Jack Miller because, they've won a couple of races now. I'm talking about KTM. They've won a couple of races on merit. They've got a couple of good riders there at the moment in Oliveira and Brad Binder. But I think Jack takes over from Oliveira next year. So it's a really strong pairing. The bike won't be there. You probably won't get the results straight away, but it'll be one of those 2 or 3 year ones where their trajectory in the sport is skyrocketing, and they won't fail because they haven't failed in any other category anywhere else, whether it be Supercross, Motocross, Dakar, things like that. Yeah, they're the benchmark by far. So good to see motorsport in Australia is alive and well, and got a lot of good young Aussies coming through as well. So
it's good.
It's good. We saw Casey Stoner there on the weekend, and
legend.
And Jack Doohan's dad, Mick, which was nice, having a good chat. Yeah, anyway.
It's a very, very good spot for Australian motorsport. It's probably worth talking about. We're going to be looking at Oscar very soon. We've only got 4 more races this year, and we've been very much sorrow and kind of down in the dumps because of Daniel. Yeah. But we should start getting into the mode of our boy Oscar, who we were on very early, might we add. Early in the podcast, we identified that talent, and it's all because of us.
Absolutely.
And our support that he's been successful.
Yep.
But I wonder what's going through his mind. Do you reckon he's going around to the race weekends, or is he spending time at McLaren? What is he doing for the rest of this F1 season?
Not sure what his contract looks like with Alpine at the moment. They have a date on them which precedes post-season testing.
Right.
So before they can get out.
They're not going to let him touch the car, though, are they?
No, they won't. Him up. He'll be out. He's out of the organisation, but he technically probably won't be able to do anything with McLaren until that date's done. Yep. And I'd suggest there's a hell of a lot of bad blood there. Normally, organisations just release them. Like when Danny Rick, as soon as he finished his race with Red Bull and he went to Renault, they were doing a test and they said, "I'll just go and do it." They didn't care. They just said, move on. It's fine.
Yep.
You're out of that program now, so that's good. I think there's some marketing things where he couldn't wear the Renault shirt stuff, but I don't think Alpine will act like that. I think they're pretty dirty. So that'll be good for Oscar. He'll be jumping between. Mate, he'll be one of these giddy kids just so excited. It's Christmas tomorrow. Wake up at 4:30 a.m. But he'll be waiting for he'll just be waiting to get into the
Disappointing
team.
We didn't get to see him in any practice sessions.
Who cares?
I mean, who cares in the end? But it would have been awesome.
Next year,
it would have been awesome to see him showcase his talents. Because at the moment, he's somewhat of an unknown. Yeah. There's not many people who've gone through every stage of their junior career, won and moved up. He is one of the ones. The only time I can think of it is someone like a Max who bypassed F2, wasn't it, to jump straight from F3 across. He's on that level of talent.
Well, that's the hype about Piastri. He's that good, and they compare him to Prost. Really nice on the car.
Yep,
gets it home. Everything's nice and just keeps. But he's got some genuine. He's got this pace which is quicker than everybody else, but he can maintain.
It's a finesse.
Yeah, exactly right. It's a perfect word for it. Whereas a guy like Alonso, he'll go out and trash that car over a race and come back. We can't use any of that. He's absolutely wringed the neck of the thing to get everything out. Oscar's not like that. So, in
a cost cap sport, it mentions being said that is underrated, and also with regulations changing about tyre warming blankets and things like this,
Yeah.
having this ability and finesse to warm up tyres and take care of tyres and these kind of things are going to be invaluable to that team. And someone with Oscar's delicate touch. We talk about Checo sometimes and his ability to save tyres. He's very kind on tyres. It's underrated. It gives you so much more opportunity during a race to go long or go early on a tyre, knowing that you have that ability to milk out more performance later.
What is the expectation for Oscar next year, Tommy?
Well,
If you can project that forward, because that's realistic. We were looking to it.
Let's look at some measurements, because I think race is sometimes unfair, because if McLaren is favouring Lando, the race results might not be. But let's talk about qualifying, which is something that's in his control. I would love to see that close to 50% qualifying. If not, I wouldn't want Oscar to be out qualified more than like 2/3 of the time. Maybe 2/3 to Lando, 1/3 to Oscar. I think is a win for qualifying.
Yeah, I want him to win. Come out, dominate. Yeah.
I was being realistic and conservative, but I like where your head's at.
I just hope he just spanks Lando.
It's hard with him knowing that car so well, and I think that's half of what Daniel's problem was, wasn't it? That someone knows that car so well, and you have to jump in and try and match their pace, match what they know, coming from a different language, let's say.
Let's hope McLaren have sorted their shit out, by the way, on design philosophies and got it right, and they've corrected it. And what they're actually going to put out on track next year is genuinely competitive. Because I think if it is competitive and they are capable of being up there, I think Oscar's got the ability to match Lando Norris and or not beat him.
Well, and he showed throughout his junior career the ability to not necessarily always go for the win, but go for the second when it was on offer. He'd always take exactly what was necessary.
But made some super aggressive passes too.
He has the ability to do both. He's very smart, and again, kind of like Max was talking about before, that zoom out, bigger picture. He has the ability to do that, and he will do the right thing for the team to bank points, to do what he can on the day.
Yep.
But then when the time comes, he will go for those wins and he will do those things.
So if McLaren's right, let's just say Oscar comes out, sets the F1 world alight.
Yep.
He's the next best thing, and everyone's going, geez, this is going to be a genuine competitor, Max Verstappen, which we want.
Yes.
Does that mean we're going to fall back in love with McLaren, or how do we feel about McLaren?
That's a hard one, isn't it? Because they've done us dirty, and it sounds like Daniel's relationship with a lot of the employees and people behind the scenes at McLaren's excellent. It's management.
They love him.
It is management.
They hate Lando too. Because Lando's not a nice guy to be around more than, 10 minutes a day. Sorry, I'm joking. I don't know.
We don't know that, but we know that they love Daniel. That is a fact. That Daniel is very well loved, still to this day at Renault and still to this day at Red Bull. Everywhere he's been, he's left nothing but good reviews and has burnt no bridges where he's gone with the employees. The management's different, and that's where we're talking about big dollars and sponsorship and contracts and performance. And unfortunately, that's the area that hasn't quite matched up here at McLaren.
He's actually been pretty good the last few races, Rick?
And it seems like when they've left him alone and kind of let him maybe do what he needs to do with his mechanics rather than I don't know. It's so hard to know how it's going, but when he's been forgotten, he's almost done better, it seems. He's defied expectations. They've given him less resource and less opportunity, and he's done really well with that, despite that almost.
Couple of good results on the trot. He beat Lando here last year, so I'd expect Danny Rick to be beating Lando.
Let's do it.
COTA this year, so I'm all about that.
That's a prediction. There we go.
That's the prediction.
I don't know.
Should we get a gentleman's bet on that or what? Can't get a bet. You can't bet against our man though, can you?
No.
Interesting.
No, I'm excited for it. We do like COTA, and it is a good time for us. So we're going to be watching it in the morning again, I think.
Yeah.
That could be fun.
I think so.
Might roll into work and watch it together.
Yeah, that could be cool. 6 a.m. start.
You're invited, Zeke, if you want to drive down very early in the morning.
Make sure.
I'll let you know.
Make sure you get on Discord and have a chat to us. Tommy, you want to make an appearance on Discord?
I forgot my login.
I'm just as bad as you.
I
do read it.
The notifications pop up when I read them, and then I laugh and chuckle, and then I can't get into them because I don't have my password.
A few of the comments are, does Campy really not have social media? Yes, I really do not have social media. Yes, I really do not like phones and being on it and texting and that stuff. I do make an effort with, but yeah,
it is quite funny
Discord, but it is genuine.
We did think about making Campy an Instagram and running it on his behalf, but you can imagine how that would go if that was James and I.
Oh yeah, I mean, say no more.
Maybe we could get Zeke to do that as part of Zeke's role with Lakeside.
I'll add it to my list.
Running your socials for you. There you go.
No, I wouldn't bother.
Hey, you could blow up. You could be like the next Ted or
who's Ted?
Ted Kravitz.
I'm joking.
You know Ted is.
Who's Ted? The teddy bear.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. This has been another Lakeside Drive podcast. Thank you from us here in the studio, and we'll see you next week for the race at COTA.
Yes.